Hey everybody, what is going on? XLex here, got another Master Duel video for you, and it is Monday, which means, of course, it is time for our weekly viewer special. For those of you who might be new to the channel or series, once a week here on Mondays, I like to take replays and cool decks from you all, actually, and show them off here on the channel. That way we're not just seeing me play the stuff that I like to play all the time, and we get to see more of a variety of decks. But more than just getting to see a variety of decks, I also really like to give you all the opportunity to, again, just show off all the cool stuff that you're doing, because there's so many, like, awesome decks out there, and just so many good back and forth games that, you know, again, it would be very disingenuous to think that I'm the only one with something out there to see. So plus it gives us all kind of an opportunity to come together and congratulate and celebrate each other. It just kind of makes us feel more like a community. I love it. So if you are interested in submitting a game for the viewer special, the main bit of information that I'm going to need from you is your 9-digit player ID. Oh, and you can throw that in the Discord server. There's an invite link in the description below. If you click on that and join, then under the Master Duel section, there is a channel that says viewer special submissions. There is where you're going to want to put your 9-digit player ID. That way I'm able to view all of your publicly saved replays. Please do make sure that they are publicly saved. That way I am able to view and feature them. If you have multiple replays, that is definitely cool. You are free to submit as many multiple different replays as you would like. I just ask that you don't submit the same game, like spamming it in the channel over and over again. But if you also want to leave a little bit of info about the game, that's very, very helpful. Could be as simple as just, oh, I played this deck versus this deck. But if you want to get into a little bit more detail about how the game's played out, that is also definitely a-okay. In fact, that is actually very helpful. Let's see what else is there. We can only show so many games per week, so, you know, obviously if you don't make it in this week, there is always the next one, and the one after that, and the one after that, because, as I've said before, we do this every single Monday. Even if your game doesn't get featured, just know that I did very likely watch it, as I do watch, like 90%, I'd say, pretty much everything that ends up coming through here, so... Alright, I think that's our beginning spiel all out of the way now, so let's go ahead and start watching some of your games. Okay, so our first game for this viewer special is going to come to us from Wano, who has a replay here. We're going to be watching Emian take on Voiceless Voice. Definitely eager to check this one out. Emian's it's a very interesting Pendulum deck to me. I think it's really cool that, one, it's been one of the better Pendulum decks for, like, pretty much the entirety of the time that Master Duel's been out. And two, it's actually a Pendulum deck that, you know, is mostly its own archetype, which, I mean, I don't really, you know, I'm not one who really cares about whether a deck is, like, multiple archetypes or not. Some people really, really care about that. I don't. Well, in fact, I think that decks that are multiple archetypes are really cool, so I care in that regard, but... I do also think it's cool that in Emian, you know, Pendulum is typically, you know, some kind of like Pendulum Magician pile, but Emian is very much its own thing, which I do think is pretty neat, so. Alright, Voiceless Voice player setting up a relatively typical turn 1 board here. They're on the Saphira Ritual Monster, which I don't think they always play, or usually play even. So they're sacking off the low for, is this Sorvis or the Saphira? It's the Saphira, they actually summoned her, wow. So we get the draw 2, discard 1. Low's gonna come back off of her own effect. Is Low now once per turn, or did they not bring her back already? Each of the no, okay, I guess they just didn't bring her back already. Alright, so draw 2, discard 1. The one they're discarding is Gamma. Oh, but now they're linking off. Oh, for Dynamundo, right? Of course, of course. Okay, so passing back over to us. So we can take our first turn here. I'm not, like, the most familiar with the Emian archetype, but I see a bunch of different Pendulum monsters, as well as Upstart and Spell Power Mastery, so I assume we've got a pretty good hand here as far as making plays goes and getting out that gas. Okay, does Saphira do anything, like, have a quick effect during our turn? I'm trying to remember. Ritual Summon, draw 2, discard 1. If an attack is declared involving a light monster, you can discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand during the end phase. That's right, it's got all these different effects that activate at weird different times, so... Okay, so we just have to discard when we declare an attack. That's not a big deal at all, so... okay, they are going to Ash Blossom the Mythical Beast Master Cerberus here. I guess to be fair, Mythical Beast and Emian are technically two different archetypes that are blended together here. Alright, they're using their radiance. This is actually good that they're using all of their disruptions sooner rather than later. Alright, popping our pentascale. Here's the jackal. There's the low. Yeah, they're not the low, the skull guardian, but yeah, wow, they just really used everything right off the bat, didn't they? I mean, to be fair, I don't expect that Emian is the kind of deck that like a lot of people are going to be super familiar with, but from what little I know of Emian, I know that this card here, the Servant of Emian, tends to be pretty important, so if I'm going to pop like scales or stuff, I usually go after that one, but I also kind of don't blame our opponent for popping a pentascale as soon as it's set up here. I don't know, it's tricky, right? Because of course, like, you want to be playing optimally, but that often requires knowing what your opponent's doing, and again, Emian, not necessarily the most common deck, but that's also a very real factor as far as like bringing a lower tiered or like rogue deck to a ladder or a tournament, right? Over on the Patreon, we recently talked about an article about metagame layers, and that article touched on that, about how you know, in a tournament scene, if you bring a lower rogue level deck, especially one that can counter the meta pretty well, and or is just good in its own right, then you can get away with a lot because your opponent won't know when to disrupt you. Alright, here comes the Emian, as well as the Reflection from the extra deck, as well as the Emian from the hand as well. Alright, Reflection and Beyond the Pendulum. I'm going to link off for, does this exceed the Pendulum? No, it's Celine. Celine in her own actual archetype. I've definitely summoned Celine quite a bit myself, but usually she just goes into an Axis Code or an Appaloosa right afterward. Alright, here we're actually removing Celine's spell counters in order to special summon the Emian from the Pend Zone. Getting to pop our opponent's entire board as a result. This will trigger the prayers of the Voiceless Voice, but we are very easily able to negate that with the Emian effect itself. Emian is such a good boss monster. It's so hard to believe that was a structure deck boss monster. Seems like it was probably a pretty good structure deck then. Alright, there we go, swinging in for the lethal. And we were actually, I don't know if we were nib-proof through the entire thing, but from the point that Jackal was on the field, we were pretty much nib-proof from there on. Because, of course, that monster does have the ability to negate monster effects. So, definitely a very, very good showing from the Emian deck here. I say very, very good, but I think this is honestly pretty average, right? As far as like a going second game goes. You know, Voiceless in general, especially as a deck that doesn't put up a lot of disruption, which makes using that disruption at the correct times a lot more important, like we discussed during the game there. So, but yes, thank you very much for showing us the Emian game. Good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and check out the next one here. Alright, our next game is going to come to us from Kenny. Kenny. Oh, I didn't realize you got a top 100 in the Xyz Cup. That's cool. I see you got the icon frame there, too. That's awesome. Congrats on that. Hell yeah. Alright, we're going to watch Kenny play a game against Tier Equals Bozo. I think it's so funny when people have names like this, especially like this one. It's like, are you still salty about Tier 0 format a year later, or are you somehow salty about Tier Limit right now? Anyway, Kenny's gonna be on a red Resonator deck, which this is like, you know, this whole season I've been trying some new synchro decks, right? I crafted the Jump Speeder, I crafted the Majestic Stardust, and I'm not gonna lie, the red Resonator deck is like kinda next on my radar as far as like synchro decks I think I might want to try out. I'm not gonna make any commitment to crafting it, but it is on the radar. So we're gonna start by ashing the Nightmare Throne here. Looks like we got a lot of gas in our hand. Opponent's gonna follow up with a Nightmare Pain, popping the Chaos Summoning Beast in hand to grab the Samsara D Lotus. Alright, so they can still combo, but they've already used the Nightmare Pain, so yeah, they're gonna have to... Okay, they're just gonna add another Nightmare Pain. I was gonna say they're gonna have to add Eternal Favor, but I guess not if they don't play it, right? Okay, they're just gonna go for Phantom Pass here, so that's pretty good for us. Wow, this is pretty much a pure just red Resonator deck, isn't it? That's really cool. Alright. Resonator, call for the Soul Resonator. Ooh, our opponent's gonna max CS here. We get to chain the red Lotus King. But we're still under the Maxi. Alright, searching up the Bone Archfiend. That was a bit of a weird maxi. I don't know. This deck doesn't do inherent summons, doesn't it? Or does it? Yeah, no, this is an activated effect. This is one of those instances where I feel like our opponent just like kind of threw out the maxi because they didn't really know when to use it, but they kind of used it at an optimal time. I guess to be fair, they did it while we had a monster on the board, so that at least they didn't play into Gamma, but this kind of a maxi still kind of walks into triple tact. Although, to be fair, not really much more so than a well-timed maxi, I guess. It wasn't horrible. Alright, we get to add the red zone here, and looks like we're just going to go for it, or at least some amount of synchroing. Well, Red Rising Dragon, I think that means we're just going for it, because we're going to bring back the Vision Resonator. Oh, interesting. It sends a trap card from the deck to the graveyard. Hang on. What was this one? Red Rain. If you control level 8 or higher synchro monster, banish all monsters on the field except the monster with the highest level. Also remaining face-up monsters in the field are unaffected by other card effects. If they're owned until the end of the turn, dark synchro monsters summon all these cards in this card in your hand. Oh, that's cool. Wow. It's like a recyclable board wipe. Dang. And of course, controlling a monster with the highest level, not that difficult in this deck. Although I imagine Centurion, well, I guess it's really only that one card. I was going to say Centurion might be a bit of an awkward matchup, but that's really only that one card, right? So, alright, so we're ending after going for the Scarred Dragon Archfiend, setting up all of our in-archetype trap cards, by the way. I'm going to lead with the red zone to pop the opening of the Spirit Gates. I'll stop that from adding. Opponent's going to follow up with Dark Beckoning Beast to add... Is that... No, they put back Chaos Summoning Beast. I was about to be like, is that a second one? No, they put it back to summon Phantom of Yubel. That's right. Alright, so... Nightmare Pain going for the Gruesome Grave Squirmer. Here's the Red Rain. So it's going to banish everything but the Phantom of Yubel. Because the Phantom of Yubel is level 9. That's actually the monster with the highest level. But as you can see here, like... This card's actually pretty solid, right? Because even if you don't control the monster at the highest level, it'll still banish everything else, which not only was sufficient to stop our opponent's plays here, but also, thanks to Red Zone, we're able to just bring back our banished Synchro monster anyway. So, that's actually pretty rad. That's really cool. It's a good use of that card. Those cards, rather. Alright, so... Drawing another Red Lotus King, we get to search again with the Crimson Gaia, although our opponent set Imperm across from it, so... That's not, like, ideal, but... It is what it is. Looks like we're gonna pop the Nightmare Pain here. It's good, and it'll, make it so we're not forced to battle into the Phantom of Yubel. Alright, going for the Synchron Resonator. Opponent's got another Maxi. We're going to once again chain the Red Lotus King. Ooh, our opponent used the Phantom of Yubel here. That's definitely fine, I think, with us. For and with us. Now the Fiendish Shane, yeah, can only be used on a monster with 2,000 or more attack, so unfortunately we can't exactly banish the Yubel with it, but we can go for the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, which is going to be in a sort of Omni-Negate effect, and we get the Red Rain once again. Now that doesn't banish itself, right? It just says add it to hand. Yeah, that's an actual game plan here. We really are just gonna banish their board every single turn, aren't we? It's good. Alright, now here popping the Yubel means they get not only the Yubel F, but also the Nightmare Throne F. Although, yeah, to be fair, we can just negate the Nightmare Throne. Which I don't even think would be a huge deal if it resolved anyway, because it's like... They're just gonna summon Ultimate Nightmare either way, right? Ultimate Nightmare's win rate at time of appearance is 75%. That's interesting. Okay. Excuse me. I guess that kind of makes sense. Anyway, Phantom of Yubel coming down here. They're playing another Nightmare Throne. But we get to Red Zone that. So... They don't get to search now. They still don't have... Well, now they don't have access to the other effects of Nightmare Throne either. Okay, opening the Spirit Gates. It's going to get negated by the Hot Red Dragon, which is in turn going to get... its effect changed by the Phantom of Yubel, which makes sense. Would have been a very good negate for us here, because it stops not only the search, but also the discard to bring something back effect. But yeah, the Phantom of Yubel was always going to mess us up there, so... Alright, there's regular Yubel again, and then another Phantom. That Phantom really does need to go to 1, doesn't it? It's kind of insane just how often they can summon that card. And yet again, we're banishing everything but their strongest Yubel monster here. Which is actually still working out extremely well for us. It's also really good that we're banishing all this stuff too, right? Because It's harder for the Yubel deck to recycle banish cards here. Spirit of Yubel can still summon a Yubel that's banished, but like all this other stuff is not going to really be able to get recycled that easily. Alright, there goes the Fiendish Golem. Speaking of banishing, we're banishing the Shardvara here. Is that a temporary banish, or is that... Yeah, it's until the end phase of the next turn. So our end phase. Okay, got it. Alright, red zone. Wow, and that's where they concede. That's good. That's good. That was just a nice game of looping the Red Rain. I've played against Red Resonator decks, but this is the first time I've seen one use this card, and this was a very, very good use case for this card here. Again, both times we activated it, we didn't even control the highest level monster, and it was still very, very good for ending our opponent's turn. And of course, combined with the red zone, meant that we were able to just recover our banished synchro monsters anyway. So that's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that replay, Kenny. We're going to take a look at one more before we end off here. Okay, our last game is going to come to us from Kelto28, who's got a game with branded synchro. Actually, a few of these are all games with branded synchro. So I think I'm going to check out this one, this 5-turn game, which I believe is against Vanquish Soul. So let's see what we got here. I see the couple of Ecclesias that we got, as well as if we scroll down here. Yep, our nice little suite of synchro monsters. I always thought this was a particularly cool variant of branded. Did you, Lex? Did you think the synchro variant was cool? I am sure nobody could have guessed that. Oh, that's good. That was a good draw off Maxi, too. Alright, we're going for the Blazing Cartessia here. Our opponent's got Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Whoa! That's not a card you see too often. But, I mean, Vanquish Soul is a deck where that could be used. Wow, and they actually got the Albion, for both Albions from us, too. That's wild. Okay. Alright, so we're going to fuse the Ecclesia with the Cartessia to go for the Granganol. Granganol F is going to send that Titaniclad to the deck. We do get to triple attack here. Going to go for the Draw 2, finding Albion and Branded Sword. Titaniclad during the end phase is going to drop the Quim down onto our board, which will send another tuner that we play, actually, the Golden Sword Soul. Ecclesia and Cartessia get to add themselves back, and then we're passing over to our opponent. Alright, let's see what they got here. Raisin coming down first, going to add the Xiaolong. Raisin F then going to reveal the Xiaolong, as well as a dark monster, looks like the Heavy Borger, to pop our Quem. Alright, after that, they're going to Desires. I haven't played Vanquish Soul yet this season, somehow, I don't think I have, actually. Wow, I need to get on that. Alright, Maxi coming down in response to the effect of the Heavy Borger, so we're going to get that draw for this summon and any others they might be doing on this turn. Finding the Gold Sark there. Granganol also gets to sack itself off. They're going to chain the Borger effect to reveal Madlove. So we know Madlove, Raisin, and Xiaolong. We know 3 of the 7 cards in their hand. Alright, so Quem coming down, activating the effect. Golden Sword Soul F activating as well. Xiaolong gets to summon itself here, off the reveal for the Borger there. They didn't summon it off the Raisin reveal, did they? I just realized that. Alright, sending Branded in High Spirits. Xiaolong F reveal Raisin, and another Raisin. Okay, so Raisin, Madlove, Snow Devil, Raisin, Madlove, Snow Devil. Is that everything we know? 4 of the 7 cards in their hand? I think it is. Alright, fusing for the Borlode Furious here. That also will proc our Quem. There's Ghost Spell, so that was another one of the cards right there. It's going to stop the Quem effect. Okay, so we know 4 of the 6 cards. That's always something you got to keep track of when you're playing against Vanquish Soul. It's like, okay, what do I know that's in their hand? It's one of the many reasons, actually, for both this matchup and mostly, I guess, for Triple Tactics talent, I always keep a little, like, notebook. Well, I mean, I just find that handy to have on my desk in general, but I'll use my little desk notebook in order to write down cards that I know are in my opponent's hand. Okay, so Valius, Raisin, Madlove. We only don't know 1 card in their hand, I'm pretty sure. Well, I think one of the face-down cards we don't know either, so. Gold Sark banishing the Despian Tragedy, Tragedy F, and then we also are going to use the Borlode Furious right now as well. On one of these back rows, which ends up being the Dust Devil. Okay, so that was one of the other face-downs. So we know that other face-down is Snow Devil. That is something to keep in mind. As we got the Ecclesia and the Sarnier. Now we're going to do a little bit of Synchro Summoning. Going for that Bestial Dissipator. Get to mill the Lubellion and then normal summon Aliber, going for branded in white. Not even going for the branded fusion here. Because, I mean, to be fair, do we even really, like, need it at this point? That's genuinely me asking, because I am far from a branded expert. I think branded is probably the meta deck that I have the least knowledge of, that I'm least familiar with. Probably branded in lab. Alright, so we're making Lubellion off the branded in white here. I feel like our opponent should have definitely waited on that Snow Devil, right? Maybe they thought we were gonna summon Mirror Jade or something? I don't know. Alright, so Caesar Valius coming down here as the Lubellion effect is activating. We do still have this triple attack. Alright, so this has got, yeah, this is Mirror Jade, yep. And here's the triple attack. Gonna go for the hand rip effect here. We're just gonna chain the Caesar Valius for the Papa card effect. Revealing one of each Pantera. Okay, so Pantera is another card we know they have now. I guess we did kind of... I don't know, I guess I only speak from Vanquish Soul experience, but like, if they added the Caesar Valius, then you should probably be able to guess that they probably have another Earth monster in hand. Oh, they have a second Madalove too, okay. That's actually not bad for us at all. Like, it might seem, you know, I mean, it is kind of like, oh, we have no cards left and our opponent still has, like, you know, a total of access to 5 cards. But if it's all Vanquish Soul stuff, we at the very least know what they're going to be up to, right? And, of course, having nothing on hand or field does not mean the branded deck is out of resources, because we still have main phase 3, aka the end phase, where we're going to be able to add a bunch of cards back to our hand from the graveyard. The Ecclesia, the Cartessia, the Branded High Spirits, as well as during the main phase we added Golden Sword Soul back. Alright, looks like the opponent top deck Stake Your Soul. They're going to drop the Madalove first though, and then some of the Borg. Looks like they're just going for some damage here. That would not have been lethal. Worth noting. Okay, so we're going to use the Madalove to try to bounce the Golden Sword Soul, which again is fine because they don't have lethal on board anyway. Unless they have a Xiaolong in hand? No, they don't, okay. I didn't think they did. Golden Sword Soul not once per turn. Oh, but they would have had lethal because of the burn. Ah, how could I forget the burn? Yeah, so that definitely would have been lethal. Okay. Alright, here's the Rock of the Vanquisher. I think our first Rock of the Vanquisher of the entire game, which is a little surprising. Alright, specialing the Raisin. I'm just going to add the Xiaolong. End phase, we're going to Branded Retribution to add back the Branded in white. Okay. Let's see what we got from here. Top decking Druid Storm. They're going to start off by popping the Golden Sword Soul during the draw phase. But they didn't summon the Xiaolong, which is interesting. I guess because they couldn't add. Like, they wouldn't be able to get an add from deck to hand, I mean. Okay, so we're going to bounce our Ecclesia here. As we go to summon the Druid Swarm. I guess, yeah, that makes sense. So we don't summon another level 10. Golden Sword Soul gets to activate again, bringing back the Quem. Quem F, going to send Albaz. Now we can special the Cartessia. Go for the Branded in white, fusing the Cartessia, the Ecclesia, and the Druid Swarm for good old Guardian Chimera. We do need to do it with the Branded in white. By the way, I've learned this lesson the hard way. Learned the lesson of reading the hard way. Guardian Chimera only procs when summoned by a spell, so... Yeah, if we had tried to use Cartessia's effects, I mean, we could have summoned the Guardian Chimera, it's just nothing would have happened, right? No effect would have activated, so... Bringing back that Mirror Jade as well, getting to draw the Thrust, as well as pop a couple of cards from the opponent's board. Triple Tactics Thrust is going to search us that Branded Fusion, but as soon as it's activated, or I assume we're going to get Branded Fusion anyway. I mean, we could have maybe even had a better target that I wasn't aware of, but either way, that is going to seal the deal. So thank you very much, Kelto28, for that excellent game. Thanks to everyone who submitted. Again, regardless of whether your game was featured or not, you know, the viewer special could not happen without you all, you know, being present in the community and submitting those games every week. It really, really does mean a lot. Again, regardless of whether you end up making it the video or not. And again, even if you don't, there is always the next week too. So that's going to do it for this one. Let's just move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.